Halo, selamat datang di channel Library Ryan. Di sini kalian bisa menikmati berbagai cerita-cerita bahasa Inggris. Jangan lupa untuk pencet tombol subscribe dan like dan share, ya. Agar kalian selalu mendapatkan cerita terbaru. Terima kasih. Hi guys, welcome to Library and today we are going to read you Cinderella, retold by Susanna Davidson, illustrated by Fabiano Fiorin. Cinderella. Invitation to a Ball. Chapter 1. Cinderella, shouted her stepmother, looking up from a yellow colored key in my bedroom at once. Yes, stepmother called Cinderella. Cinderella called from the kitchen where she was making lunch, where her sisters had ordered their usual revolting dishes. Well, I've made the sausage truffle, Cinderella thought to herself. The cabbage and the custard pie will just have to wait. She picked up her broom and made her way to the stairs, but her stepsisters were blocking the way. What's little Cinder's doing today, then? Teased Griselda. She's sweeping away cobwebs like a servant, sneaked Griselda. Get it on then, servant girl, said Griselda. Just then Cinderella's stepmother appeared. Griselda, she cried, I have the most exciting news. The prince is giving you a Christmas ball and you're invited. We'll dress you in the finest clothes, only the best for my beautiful darlings. Isn't that right, dear? She said to Cinderella's father. Cinderella gripped her broom hard. May I go to the ball as well? She asked in a scared whisper. You go to the ball, said her stepmother. You must be joking. You belong to the kitchen. Cinderella turned to her father, but he coughed and looked away. He's too scared of stepmother to help me, thought Cinderella. If only I could go to the ball. Chapter 2. A surprise visit. We'll be the most beautiful girls there, chose the stepsisters. I'm sure the prince will want to marry one of you, said their mother proudly. Now, Cinderella, she went on, as a special treat, and since it's near Christmas, yes, Cinderella cried, you may help Griselda and Griselda choose their dresses. All that week, bootmakers, dressmakers, wig makers, and hairdressers streamed through the door. Cinderella tried to make her sisters look as pretty as possible, but it wasn't easy. Cinderella wanted to wear a hat decorated with stuffed birds. Griselda chose a yarn green dress with yellow spots. What about feathers rather than stuffed birds, Griselda? Cinderella suggested politely, and Griselda, and I think the yellow dress suited you better. Shut up, Cinders! What would you know, said Griselda, but you might be right. We must look grander than anyone else. See on lots of rubies and ribbons. Cinderella worked all day and all night, putting the finishing touches to their outfits. Hurry up, Cinderella. At last they were ready. Cinderella's stepsisters gazed at themselves in the mirror. Don't we look gorgeous? They shrieked. We'll be the finest ladies at the ball. Oh my Tinkerbells, you look wonderful. Their mother gasped. Let's go, the coach is here. Cinderella, put up the Christmas decoration while we're gone. The front door was opened. There was a swish of skirts and a blast of cold air. Then Cinderella was left alone. As she struggled with the Christmas tree, tears blurred her eyes. "Ah," she sobbed, getting tangled in a tendril. I wish I could go to the ball." A yell crashed in the chimney, but Cinderella looked up. There, in the fireplace, covered in soup, was her godmother. Fantastic Felicity. Chapter 3. Godmother Felicity, cried Cinderella. "Whatever are you doing in our chimney?" "I missed the door," Felicity replied airily. "But I haven't seen you since I was 10, said Cinderella. "I've been with Sleeping Beauty, my other godchild," exclaimed Felicity, but she wouldn't wake up, so it was rather dull. "Have you been crying, Cinders?" asked Felicity, looking at her closely. "Yes, I wanted to go to the ball, but I'm not allowed." "Well, you can wipe those tears away. Fantastic Felicity is here to help. Now, go to the garden and fetch me a large pumpkin." "Great," thought Cinderella. "My stepsisters are at the bar and I'm picking up pumpkins for my crazy godmother." "Here you are," Cinderella said a few minutes later. "It's the biggest one." "Jolly good," Felicity replied. "Just shouldn't take long." "Now, what was the smell?" Felicity, said Cinderella. "Yes, dear," said Felicity. "Why are you waving that stick around?" "This isn't a stick, Cinderella," her godmother replied. "It's a wand. This time has to tell you a great secret. Your godmother is a fairy." "Really?" "Watch," she went on. Felicity flicked her wand at the pumpkin and cried out, "Abracadabra, cadim." Cinderella waited. Nothing happened. "I don't know much about fairies," Cinderella said, "but shouldn't you be using the other end of your wand?" "Well spotted, Cinderella. "See me," said Felicity. "Shoot on the brain. Let's try again." There was a wonderful tinkle of music and a shower of sparks. In the place of a pumpkin stood a beautiful golden couch. Cinderella gasped. "You really can do magic." "Yes," said Felicity, "and this is just the beginning. Now, where's your mousetrap?" "Under the sink," said Cinderella. Felicity Peter, 6 miles, 1 fat right. "Oh, yeah, excellent. Open the mousetrap door, Cinderella." Kazam! As each of the mice came out, Felicity gave them a little tap with her wand. One by one, the mice were transformed into white, fine horses. The rat became rosy-cheeked coachman with very large whiskers. "Now I need 6 lizards," said Felicity. I expect there'll be something behind your water can." "There they are," said Cinderella, handing them to her godmother. In a flash, the lizards became footmen. "At your service, Cinderella." They were dressed in glistening green and looked as they had been footmen all their lives. "There you are, Cinderella," said Felicity, sounding rather pleased with herself. "Now you can go to the ball." "I'll be off now, but I can't go in these rags," Cinderella called out. Felicity touched Cinderella with her wand. A moment later, her rags turned into a dazzling dress of gold and silver. On her feet were a perfect pair of little glass slippers. "There's just one problem," said Felicity. "You must sleep before 12. On the last stroke of midnight, my magic would begin to fade." "I promise," Cinderella replied, climbing into the coach. "And thank you so much," she called as the horses swept away at the ball. When Cinderella entered the ballroom, everyone went silent. Then suddenly a whisper went around the room. "Who can she be?" "Who's that beautiful girl?" the ladies wondered. She must be a princess. A voice next to Cinderella almost made her jump. It was the prince. May I have this dance? He asked. Cinderella and the prince trod across the floor. She's so graceful, said the other ladies, and look at her dress. Have you seen anything so delicate? Ignore her. The prince is only being polite, said Grandma. He'd much rather dance with me. Cinderella was enjoying herself so much she forgot to watch the time. As the prince whirled around the room, she caught sight of the clock. The time! Oh no, she said. It's almost midnight. I must go. Cinderella pulled away from the prince and ran across the dance floor. The prince raced after her. Come back, he called. I don't even know your name. But Cinderella had disappeared into the darkness. Have you seen a girl in a gold and silver dress? The prince asked. No, said the guard. A girl ran past a mermaid girl, but she was dressed in rags. I've lost her. The prince turned back to the palace with a sigh. Then something on the steps caught her eye. Her gas zipper, he cried. Chapter 5. The gas zipper. Cinderella ran home as fast as she could. She arrived just before her stepsisters. How was the ball? Cinderella asked. It was very grand, said Griselda. Far too grand for the yikes of you. I'm sure the prince is in love with me. Cinderella smiled, but she said nothing. The next morning, the entire street was woken up by the shout of a town crier. He was followed by a message. By the order of His Royal Highness the Prince, every girl in this kingdom must try on this yasipa. The prince will marry its true owner. Cinderella's stepmother flung open the front door and grabbed the messenger. One of my girls will fit this shoe, she said proudly, and then I'll be queen. Griselda couldn't even fit her big toe in the shoe. She pushed until her foot was bright red. You stupid girl! Give it to me! Shouted Grimaya, and snatched the gas zipper from her sister. Grimaya rammed half her foot in the shoe, but then it got stuck. Squeeze, Grimaya, shrieked her mother. You're not trying hard enough. I'm trying as hard as I can, Mama, said Grimaya with a grunt. Ow! You useless child, cried her mother. She wrenched off the zipper off Grimaya's foot and flung at the messenger. Off you go then, she snapped. The messenger cleared his throat. Excuse me, ma'am, he said, but my strict orders are that every young lady is to try on the shoe. He directly looked at Cinderella. What about this girl? What? Said Grimaya. She's just a servant. You needn't bother with her. Cinderella's father coughed. Actually, he began. Shut up, you stupid man, interrupted the stepmother. Cinderella has as much right to try on the zipper as anyone, he went on bravely. Oh, Papa, said Cinderella. She walked over the messenger and zipped on the shoe. It was a perfect fit. No, shrieked Griselda and Grimaya. She can't be a princess, shouted their mother. I won't allow it. This is all your fault. Get out, she screamed at the messenger. I want you to pretend this never happened. With one swift movement, the messenger swept off his hat and cloak. Everyone in the room gasped. It was the prince. You! He strode off to Cinderella. I would have searched my kingdom for you, he said. Will you marry me? Cinderella smiled. Oh, yes, she replied. At that moment, there was a puff of smoke and felicity flew into the room. She held her wand above her head and staring mist swirled around them all. "Time for a little more magic," said the cat. Felicity flicked her wand and gave Cinderella a dress even more beautiful than the one she wore to the ball. "Thank you, my princess," said the prince, and swept Cinderella off to his palace. Cinderella and the prince were married the very next day and lived happily ever after. Griselda and Grimmail were not so happy. "We wanted to marry the prince." The mother never stopped scolding them. "It's all your fault for having such big feet," she told them. The end. Bye. I hope you see more books. Please come to Library Lion to see more books.